Hello and welcome to the Swine Disease Reporting System. This is the report 27. My name is Daniel Linhares with Iowa State.
Hello, my name is Giovanni Trezan with the Iowa State.
Hello, my name is Edison with Iowa State.
And we have our special guest here today, Dr. Paul Yeski. Hi, Paul.
How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this is Paul Yeski from the Swine Vet Center in St. Peter, Minnesota.
All right, that's great. We are going to talk about the report as usual. But first, let's before we talk about pathogen detection and disease detection, which are all within the expected range based on our forecasting models, let's talk first with Paul here some of the COVID-19 related challenges that the swine industry is facing as we speak. As a quick introduction here, due to social distance requirements, employees from farms or slaughter plants that are affected with COVID-19 are of course not allowed to show up to work. And at least that we know of, there is at least 6 slaughter plants that were closed due to the high number of confirmed positive employees. And when they close, those facilities close, they close for 14 days or more or less. So that brings a big economic hit to the swine industry, because if the swine plants are closed, of course, finishing pigs need to be held for longer in the field. And if finishing spaces are also occupied, there is limited or no space for weaned pigs to go from sow farms, right? So as a result, the weaned pig price dropped to the $10-15 range, and this impact in the swine market may or may not. That's why I want to hear from Dr. Yeski here. This impact may affect implementation of health interventions, increased number of animals being held in the field, euthanizing X many pigs per batch or even whole batches. And when this is all resolved, there will also be a increased awareness for biosecurity and biocontainment, as there will be a high number of truckloads coming to pick up these animals. So with that, Paul, what's your perspective with your clients on all this ongoing crisis and challenge due to COVID-19?
Well, it's certainly been a challenge for sure. I think to say we're in unprecedented times is probably a huge understatement. But, just trying to figure out how to flow the pigs and where the numbers are going and what's going to happen is really an hour-to-hour change for the clients, and definitely making life more difficult for everyone in the country. I said I liken it to being at the airport, and you get on the escalator, you get to the top, and the crowd is all the way to the escalator, and the escalator's full behind you. Our system is truly a just-in-time system, and so with that being said, the challenge is how do we get extra space in the system? And so that's where we're needing to look at doing things that we haven't necessarily done before. And so certainly as the plant closures have happened, and we've been kind of in the middle of that area here with several of the plants being closed right in our practice area, so it's gotten to our clients right away, and definitely made some very hard decisions on having to euthanize pigs and making some room on those heavy market weights. The other long-term question is what will the capacity be of these plants as they open back up, and what's the capacity of the plants that are currently operating, and what are we going to have to look at as we go forward? And we've been able to hold pigs up probably surprisingly better than we thought by increasing barn temperatures, decreasing density of diets, and tightening down feeders and those sort of things. So surprisingly, we've been able to slow up the pigs, but that just means you have more heavyweight pigs. They may not be as heavy as they would have been, but now you've got more of them on inventory to get worked through the system. And that's really the questions, is how fast will we get them through the system?
Mm-hmm.
And what will their value be? That's the other question.
Yeah.
What will they be worth?
Along those lines, how can how heavy can you keep those pigs out there in the barn so that they still feed in the barn and stocking density before they start having major challenges, and of course, like you said, before they lose market value too. So how heavy they can get?
Yeah, I think the answer is it depends upon the plant you're selling to. You know, what's the capacity of that plant for killing pigs, as far as weights and that sort of thing. What can they hang on the rail? That certainly has the value certainly has an effect, and whether you've topped the barn, some of those sort of things as well. You know, do you have enough square footage for the pigs? But there's just a lot of different factors come into how many pigs you can have in the pen, and then where you're selling to, and all those sort of things. So there's a lot of different models for each farm. So each farm's kind of got has to have its own set of parameters to work off of, and try and figure out what's going to be the best answer for them. You know, certainly as we've gone through these, you know, one of the discussions has been, are there some ways that you know, we may be able to help ourselves with some of the health challenges that a flow might have. And so some people are looking at making some holes in production just to try and stabilize some disease challenges that they may have in their herd, and how can we take a bad situation and make it better. You know, looking at doing some of those sort of things, or doing some partial depops.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to euthanize pigs, let's euthanize the pigs that have more issues than just the healthy pigs.
And also, this report, it's about swine disease reporting system, so focusing more on this aspect. So with this market being disrupted like that, it's do you see your clients backing off in vaccinations or other health interventions to save costs, and what will be the impact on that going forward this summer or fall in terms of disease spread?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think it's always good to go back and review some of those routine procedures that we have in place, whether it's vaccinations or treatment protocols or feed grade medications. So it's good to go review those and say, what do we really need, and take a hard look at it. I think as we go through the summer here, generally as we move into the summer months, we tend to see the health status improve. We can move more air, et cetera, through the barns. And so I think the summer months will be okay. It'll be a little bit more challenge if people start to change things as we go into the fall and get into more of the changing weather into the fall period, if we don't have, you know, if some of those diseases aren't under control. So I think it's an opportunity to stabilize some of these issues before we get to that time frame.
All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that with us. And so let's move forward here, getting into the report, talking about PRRS detection. And first, just a quick update. There has been a change in the program. Giovanni Trevisan has completed his PhD in a record time. He did that under 3 years. And with everything that in his thesis and beyond has been published, so really defending his degree with flying wheels. They're pretty. We were all proud of him, and so we are lucky to have him to continue to work with the swine disease reporting system, at least for a while now, with as a postdoc associate. So we'll continue working with him, Paul. And
thank you for the opportunity.
And so Edison Magalhães is now, as part of his graduate education, also working on the swine disease reporting system project, among other projects that he's working. And Edison will now be updating the data sets and building the reports. So let me turn over to Giovanni, who will talk with Edison about those next couple pages in the report.
Thank you, Daniel. And right now we are going to enter in the agent detection pages, and the first one is PRRS virus detection by PCR, and that's the page number 2 of the report, and we can see that the number of cases tested was about 6,200 for the months of March and April, very similar in between those 2 months. The detection is within the expected for this period of the year, and the change that we see is on the RFLP detection, that is data only from ISU VDL, where the RFLP pattern 184 moved from the third to the second position when compared with the year of 2019. Edson, what other comments do you have about this data on PRRS virus detection by PCR?
So yeah, as you said, Giovanni, it's pretty stable compared to the month of March. So for example, we have on sow farms, the detection was around 25%, on the winter market was around 38%, and the unknown category was around 14%. And so if we compare with the result from the previous month, it's pretty similar. We had by the way, we have a small activity in a few states in the Midwestern region, but it stabilized in the following ones. So now it's still within the forecasted value for detection. And we saw also, for example, when we compare with the Morrison Swine Health Monitoring Project, it's stable there. The incidence of PRRS is stable now for the previous weeks.
Thank you, Edson, for your comments. Dr. Yeski, any comments about PRRS virus? What are you seeing with your clients at this time of the year?
Yeah, I would agree with what the report is saying, that things have been relatively quiet as we went through April and starting into May here. But again, historically, if we go back and look, it seems like generally in that the second week, or first half of May anyway, we oftentimes will see a little spike in breaks as the temperatures jump up and down a little bit more through the transitional weather. I think has an impact there, you know, as barns start to open up and maybe not get opened up as quickly as possible. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here as we go through May, if we see a little jump there. I do think it's interesting that we're seeing, again, on the Morrison Swine Health Monitoring Project, that we're about similar to last year. And you're predicting it to be similar on another set of data with the diagnostic data. So hopefully we can continue to be a stable year, but we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Hope that you continue like that. So moving to the next page, we are going to talk about detection of enteric coronavirus by PCR. And we can see here that the detection of PED and Delta coronavirus is within the expected boundaries for this period of the year. And we have only 7 detection of TGE cases among 3,200 cases tested. What other comments do you have for this data set, Edson?
Oh yeah, as you mentioned, so we can see when you compare for example, with the previous months, we can see that it's pretty stable, but the major decrease regarding the age category what occurred on winter market animals for both PED and Delta coronavirus, but it's pretty stable within the forecasted values by the model. But we can see that the red line, that was the major one that contributed to the overall decrease compared to the month of March.
Dr. Yeski, you have been challenging the industry that we should be aggressive on a plan to eliminate the enteric coronavirus from the swine industry. When is the right time to start that, and who should lead that initiative?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to comment on that. Certainly, I think with the relative numbers we have in the industry today, it's a disease that we could certainly eliminate. I think the timing would really be right now. I think it's a unique opportunity, and it's interesting to listen and look at the report that the wean to finish is going down. I think one interesting thing that's happening right now that I never thought would happen is we're emptying out packing houses. So the packing plants are sitting for a while. Those lairages don't have any pigs in them. And so that may help us on some of that side of the equation that would have probably never happened in any other opportunity before. And so hopefully we can clean up the plants a little bit. If we clean up the plants, that helps the wean to finish sites and just continues to reduce the numbers. And I think we want to take advantage of the seasonal impact. The summertime, we generally tend to see less outbreaks and less issues. And so I think with some of the changes in the structure of the industry, some of the concerns we have, going ahead and moving forward with a disease elimination plan for PED and Delta Corona, I think the timing now is excellent and may be an opportunity for us to get these out of the system, as well as TGE.
In your opinion, we should tackle the three of them at the same time?
Yeah, I think that I think we can do all three at the same time because the programs would be similar for any one of the three. And so I think we could do all three at the same time. And certainly it's going to have to be a combined effort. Certainly the herd veterinarians, the producers are all going to have to want to do this and move forward for the industry. But I think it gives us an opportunity to get rid of a headache that a lot of herds have to deal with every winter, but not a lot of herds. So it's a good opportunity to get that one out of the system.
And is it something that starts in the system or you start already coordinating at the state level or even national level? How do we get that done?
Well, I think first of all we need to get people to buy into the idea that it's important and that it's possible. And so I think the step one is getting people to believe that we can move forward with it. Then certainly starting at the state level and moving up, it's going to have to be a nationwide program where I think it's proven to us over time that we can continue to bring it back every winter, even though things quiet down in the summer. It comes back every winter, and we can move it around the industry. So it's going to have to be an whole industry-wide effort for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for those comments, Dr. Yeski. Very much appreciated. And moving to the last page of agent detection by PCR, where we talk about Mycoplasma pneumoniae, we can see that the detection of Mycoplasma pneumoniae is within the expected for this period of the year. Any comments on this page, Edson?
So yeah, it's pretty stable, Giovanni. Everything is within the forecasted for Mycoplasma, so no additional comments on that.
With that, we conclude the agent detection by PCR, and we have the last page to talk about that is disease diagnosis report at the ACU VDL. And in this page, PRRS continues to lead the respiratory case, rotavirus the digestive, and streptococcus the nervous diagnosis. Any further comments here, Edson?
No, Giovanni, no comments on that. Everything is quiet. So our statistical model didn't capture any alert for all the three categories of diseases.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I will turn back for Dr. Linhares and Yeski to have a final discussion about diseases diagnosis here.
Just wanted to ask, Paul, what are the major health challenges affecting your herds? Going forward from here now, what do you expect between now and summer? What are the major health challenges? And if you could share with us your thought process to decide what you're going to do with those between eliminating, controlling, or just sitting back and, right, because some of those we just sit back and watch. And how do you convince your clients to buy those strategies?
Sure. And I think one of the good things about this time of the year as we head into the warmer months is generally things tend to stabilize and quiet down. And so that's one of the things we want to take advantage of is as we get into that time frame. Like I say, once we get through the transitional weather of spring, then oftentimes we see a good period through the summer. And so it's a great opportunity if we've got some challenges that we'd like to eliminate, like a mycoplasma is a long-term project that takes to get that established and get that in place, but it's a great time to finish them up in the summer. A lot of the PRRS breaks happen in the winter, and so what we've seen is we have better success in eliminating those through the summer months as well. If we can end those up in the summer, it just makes it easier for all the cleaning and hygiene that we have to do. And we're able to move more air through these time frames with the ventilation system. So I think all those things help if we're going to be doing those, ending those projects as we come into the summer months. If you can plan ahead for those is a good idea. And for as far as health challenges, I think what the report is showing is what we see in the farrowing house. We see a little bit more of the rota C tending to be one of the headaches for us. The flu tends to always hang around and be an issue, and the strep in the wean pigs always continue. The strep suis and the other suis as well in the nursery phase continue to be the headaches for people out there.
About APP, have you seen any, or has it been a headache?
Yeah, the APP for us, we took a pretty hard line on that back in the late 80s, early 90s, and most of our clients eliminated the APP. So fortunately, we don't have to deal with it. But generally, this time of the year would have been a time frame when you get in the transitional weather where the APP can be more of a challenge. But like I say, many farms have taken the opportunity to eliminate it. And certainly one of those diseases, I think, is one that would be worth getting out of the system.
All right, so that brings us to that's about it we had to cover for the report 27. Really appreciate your time. I know that we're talking about disease here and monitoring and those challenges. We could go the whole day, right? Talking about that, having fun. But we'll leave it here for the interest of time, and appreciate again your time, Dr. Yaski, to join us in this for this conversation. Any additional comment? Any?
Thank you for the opportunity to share some of our thoughts, and we, like I said, we are in unprecedented times, so it'll be interesting to see what the next few months bring here for us.
Yeah, we'll be watching. All right. That's it then, and see you all next month.
Thank you.
I got a radio, put it on